Alright, today's video we're going to talk about how to remove the rear wheel, and then we're also going to cover the complete gear system, troubleshooting and tuning. Alright, so today we're going to cover how to remove the rear wheel. Right? You not necessarily need to have a rack, but with a rack it's a lot easier. Alright, so first and foremost, release the tension of the tensioner so that the tensioner, when removed, it doesn't flick on you or the chain just go crazy. Before you do that, you have to release this cable. Let me show you how to release. Unlock the lock nut and then turn this barrier adjuster anti-clockwise. And then this whole assembly can be decoupled. So next, pull the cable and then rotate anti-clockwise, and then the pin can be taken out. Have a good wipe. Next, you need a number 15 spanner. You release this bolt. Okay, remember there's this special bolt and then a washer, and then you can just take out the tensioner. Alright, next, to remove the wheel, you need a number 15 spanner again. Remove the axial nut, rotating anti-clockwise. Similarly, on the other side, remove anti-clockwise. Alright, and loosen it. And similarly with the front wheel, you have to release the air before the wheel can be detached. So you can release the pressure using the valve cap. Alright, and then carefully remove it this way. Alright, so if you need to change the tire, the rim tape or the inner tube, just go back to the first video. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is also take the opportunity as the wheel is taken out to flip this bolt and nut system. If you follow the Brompton technical drawing, this bolt and nut, the bolt should be inserted from this direction and the nut is here. Many of the Pikes and 360 are inserted from this direction instead, which is actually wrong. So I'm going to reverse the screw direction. Right, what you need is some spanner or long nose pliers to hold the nut here, and then an Allen key to loosen. Right, just take out all the way, right, the nut, and then the bolt. So to insert it, to flip it around, put the bolt from this direction, enter from here, align the screw, right, and then tighten the nut from this direction. And this is what it should be, this way. Alright, so in this case, we have a rider wanted to install this kickstand, so I'll take the opportunity to do it and show you how to do it. Right, kickstand is installed here, right, and then this little hole is to secure with the same nut over this side, is to prevent the rotation of this thing as you kick the stand. Okay, so you have to remove this nut and change the length of this bolt as well, because of the kickstand, you need a longer bolt. It's probably you need a 2 cm long bolt to do this. So same thing, remove the nut and the bolt. Okay, once you have removed this, you also can start to install the wheel right now. To install the wheel, make sure you hook the chain. I hope you can see. Okay, you hook the chain and go up this way. So ensure the chain is onto the cork. Right, and press the tire here so that it goes through the brake pad, and then ensure the axle is properly inserted into the dropout. Okay, so make sure you align properly and then push it in. I'm going to explain a little bit about the differences between Brompton 360 and Pikes over here about the rear axle. Okay, if you look at the rear axle, it's actually M10 and then flattened on both sides. And the dropout of the bicycle has this groove for for the flattened side to go in. So the difference between Brompton, Pikes and 360. 360, the dropout is actually 10. Right? For Pike is 8. Brompton is also 10, but Brompton comes with a tab washer to secure. This is actually an anti-rotation function for the hub, so the hub can spin forward. So Pikes integrated the anti-rotation with the dropout. Brompton and 360, actually you're supposed to have a tab washer. Now Brompton has 2 tab washers for that, but 360 do not have. So you may encounter some problem as you turn, the whole axle turn with the dropout. Just be aware of that. And then secure it with the axle nut. Now from this side, there is no washer, just the axle nut itself. Use a number 15 spanner and then tighten. Now this is metal against metal, so as tight as you can go. Alright, so for this side, we're going to install the kickstand. So the kickstand actually go through the axle, right? Pry open the rack and make sure it goes this way. Then you install as per regular a washer and your axle nut. Before you tighten the axle nut, make sure you align the hole that you're supposed to secure for the anti-rotation of the kickstand. Don't forget, you still need to tighten the axle nut. Because it's metal to metal, so as tight as you can go, don't worry. Last but not least, remember to inflate your tire to the desired PSI. Okay, in this case, we will pump to 100 PSI. Alright, and then the valve cap. So next, you have to install your tensioner. So make sure your chain is on the clock itself, right? So you can check by rotating, right? It is engaged and not on this side or not on the axle. Make sure it's on the clock. Next, take your tensioner, washer, and your nut. All right. Next is make sure you place your jockey wheel, the short jockey wheel. Put the chain on the jockey wheel, and then the jockey wheel is in between the pusher. All right, make sure it's in between, and then the axle nut go through this way. Just make sure the whole assembly is this way. And the washer and the special axle nut. Now this is metal, this is plastic, right, or whatever composite material. Do not super tighten, just tight will do. Alright, your wheel is held up by the axle nut you installed earlier on, so don't over tighten this. This can crack if you over tighten. You install back the long jockey wheel. The easy way to do if you have a rack is to engage it in this way. Release the tension, make sure the wheel sits on the jockey wheel sits on the chain, and then that's it. Now give a spin and making sure the gear is sitting properly, and then test the gear system. Okay, once it's assembled, you can do a quick plus minus gear check, right? By shifting and checking whether your gear shift as you shift the shifter. This looks okay. Alright, so it's time to assemble back your internal hub gear, right? Before you do that, use your hand to pull. Make sure the cable is sitting on the pulley, and then shift your gear. You should feel the pressure, right? The pulling of the cable as you shift. Now make sure you go to gear 3, which is on the left side of the shifter. For 360, it is labeled opposite to Pikes and Brompton. Gear 3 of Brompton, gear 3 of Pikes is gear 1 of 360, so it's a reverse. So just alright, so as you shift, make sure the cable is fully seated inside. Make sure the cable is all the way in and not dangling outside, right? So this is wrong. The cable should be sitting inside totally, right? Sometimes the cable dislodge and then you have problem shifting your gears. At this 90-degree turn, make sure the cable is also seated all the way into this holder. And the holder should be screwed in as well. Sometimes the screw is disengaged. All right, next is to insert this pin. Okay, push it all the way in, as in as you can. And then as you push, rotate clockwise so that the pin can engage the nut inside. So after a few turns, you can pull, and you can see it's actually engaged. Okay, turn all the way in. Okay, and then you can reverse a little bit so that the angle is nice over here. Right, don't over tighten this thing. So it's okay to be little bit loose. Or if it's this way, you can actually turn half around and then flip it out as well. Just make sure this is as in as you can go. And then the alignment is correct this way. So for those who are still keeping this dust cover, so it's time for you to put back the dust cover. I find that the easiest way is to insert now to the hole over here, and then the pin will come out. Hold the pin, right? The dust cover should be able to go out this way. Now remember not to be too tight, the pin, okay? And then you can secure the barrier adjuster to the bolt here. All right, to check how much to tighten, okay, the rule of thumb is engage gear 3, okay, and then the whole cable assembly is taut, okay, it's taut. It's not pulling here, it's not pulling, and it's not loose dangle like crazy, just taut. Adjust the barrier adjuster, this is the barrier adjuster, clockwise to tighten, anti-clockwise to loosen. Now make sure in gear 3, this whole cable is taut, not tight and not loose, okay? Not loose like this. This is loose, okay? Make sure it's just taut, okay? And then secure with your knob nut this way, right? So this is about right. The cable is taut. You can check the gear shift, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Now the other way to check is to crank. As you crank, you feel the gear, all right? So you put into gear 3, you feel one pressure. Then you put to gear 2, you feel, is it the same or is it harder? Change to another gear, is it lighter or is it heavier? If you can feel the difference, meaning your assembly is correct. The gear shift is successful. All right, so go through 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, you should feel the difference effort needed to crank, right? If you can feel that, your gear is probably aligned. Now, if you cannot feel the gear shift, you cannot feel lighter or heavy effort needed, you can rotate the barrier adjuster clockwise or anti-clockwise half around and then try again, right? Sometimes the gear is misfire a little bit, so just play with that and then go for a test ride. As you test ride, you'll better feel the gear engaged or not engaged. All right, just now we show you the 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1 gear adjustment. I'm going to show you the plus minus gear adjustment. So I have purposely adjusted this gear to be like that. The chain is trying to drop off of the cord, right? So sometimes you find this issue, that means your plus minus gear system needs to be adjusted. So if you observe the behavior of the chain is trying to drop off of the cord and not drop down. If it's dropping down, it will have dropped down already, right? So now the chain is trying to drop off into the wheel, into the hub, right? So this problem is caused by the limiting screw, right? The limiting screw is pulled out so that it is about to drop off. So what you need to do is to take Allen key, adjust the limiting screw so that you limit the chain from going further in. Okay? As you can see, it is about to disappear. If I tighten the limiting screw clockwise, it's actually pushing the jockey wheel. Alright, can you see? It's moving towards me. As a result, the chain is closer to the camera and the chain will not be able to drop over towards the hub. So let me show you another scenario of the plus minus gear not working properly. So over here you can see the plus minus gear is not functioning. The gear is stuck onto the small cog, right? So as I shift, it's not successful shift. Okay, so if I try again, not successful. Now if you have this kind of problem, it means your cable, the whole cable is too loose. If you encounter this kind of problem where your gear refuses to move out to the bigger cog, it means your cable is too loose. So in this case, you need to tighten the cable. To tighten the cable, you can use the barrier adjuster on the shifter itself. So this is the plus minus gear shifter, and the barrier adjuster is actually located here. Right? Again, just ensure the cable is seated properly inside the shifter, and then you can turn the barrier adjuster anti-clockwise looking from the cable. Right? As you do this, you're basically pushing the housing. As a result, you are pulling the cable, so the cable will be tighter. Okay, let's give it a try. The chain is able to climb up to the big cog now. Right? Down, down, up, down, up. Alright, a few more turns will do the job. Okay, the problem is gone.